What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Screen Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of Preacher, Season 2, Episode 2, titled Mumbai Sky Tower. Alright, now there was a lot of stuff I left out of my Episode 1 review. And I think maybe I'm going to do another video about Episode 1. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just let it be and just touch on the things here and there when I can. But it was so jam-packed full of action and information, I just feel like I left a lot of stuff out. So I'm not going to touch on that stuff too much here. But, I do apologize for leaving so much out of my Episode 1 review. I'm sure I'll get better with it as the season goes. I know I say that with every show at the start, but whatever. Alright, so Mumbai Sky Tower, which the name is it's the name of the hotel, I believe, that the magician is in, that Fior is working for. Now, Fior is one of the two angels from Season 1. There was DeBlanc and Fior. DeBlanc is dead, shot from the Saint of Killers. So we can see here how much power the Saint of Killers has. By knowing that DeBlanc is dead, we know that the Saint of Killers, the Cowboy, is no joke, and he can actually kill an angel with those guns. I got another video coming that's explaining the Saint of Killers, and I'll get into his guns and all that stuff there. So if you're a little confused or don't understand why he's as powerful as he is, check out the channel for that video, which will be probably posted the same day as this one. Alright, so we have Jesse, Tulip, and Cassidy track down a lead from heaven to find out more about who the Cowboy is and why he wants to kill them. Now, as where the first episode is more about their mission to find God, this episode is a little bit more about figuring out who the Cowboy is and trying to, I guess, stop him, get away from him, whatever. So the help that they're seeking from heaven is Fior, the surviving angel, the only angel left out of the duo, right? So we get a little flashback of him showing how he ended up, at that casino and all that other stuff. And basically, we find that without DeBlanc, I guess he wanted to die, and realizes that he can't. So he was trying to sin as much as he could and break as many as the Bible rules as he can. I love that whole scene, that whole montage scene with Fior. And none of it works. He keeps on coming back. I guess he doesn't understand why, but it's really because of the Saint of Killers is the one who killed the angel, right? But they're the ones, I believe, that hired the Saint of Killers, and that's what Fior says in this episode. So they're the ones that even got him to come out of hell to track down Genesis and, I guess, obtain it or kill it or whatever his goal is. So that's the lead from heaven. And then we saw him briefly last episode on the TV when Jesse was watching him towards the end of the episode when they're in the hotel. Before the Cowboy comes and just, starts to wreck shop, right? Alright, so we have Fior, and he's the magician's assistant, so he can be killed in all these different ways every single show and then come back, and the crowd loves him for it. And it looks like it's going to his head. It looks like he likes it a little too much, but who wouldn't like the spotlight, especially for a skill like that, right? But so they track him down, and they're trying to get him to tell him about the Saint of Killers and all that. But, he's a bit of a jerk, and he's a little angry at them, I guess, because it's their fault that DeBlanc is dead in a way. When I say their fault, I mean the trio. So this leads us to Cassidy's part of the episode. He basically goes off to bond with Fior. They get all good and high. It looks like they might even have a little bit of good times, if you know what I mean. And he seems to get him to agree to call off the Saint of Killers, which I think will be to no avail, because now I think the Saint is taking it personal that he's not able to kill Jesse. And we also found out that, that the Word of God, Jesse's power, doesn't work on the Saint of Killers, or at least doesn't work the same way that it works on everybody else. Now, I'm being led to believe that he can feel that power, and maybe he's just angry enough or strong enough or whatever to fight through it, because Jesse doesn't really know how to wield it 100% yet. But in the comics, it affects the Saint of Killers. So I would expect, eventually Jesse's either going to learn a certain way to get it to work against the Cowboy, or he's going to get good enough with using it that he's going to be able to use it against the Cowboy. One of those two. But I don't see the Cowboy being this unstoppable, unrelenting force that's going to show up in every episode. I hope that doesn't happen, because it's going to dilute the character and make us not fear him as much. So that's Cassidy's side, and he's actually successful in what he's setting out to do with the episode. Then we have Tulip, who sees an old acquaintance of hers, for somebody that she worked for. I believe it's somebody that works for an ex-boyfriend of hers that she was with during the time that her and Jesse were apart. And this guy is obviously sent her out to look for her. Maybe she stole money. Maybe she just ran away. Maybe she killed somebody. Maybe this dude is just so obsessive. I think his name is Victor. Did she say? I don't quite remember. But maybe this dude is just so fearsome, that she ran away, and he's the type of guy to track down his woman, like one of those 80s bad guys from a lot of those movies that we all love from that era. So she has this really badass scene where she takes out this big, huge black dude. He's 3 times her size and scary looking, and he approaches her with some respect and tries to get her to come nicely, and you could tell she doesn't want to, and you can see a hint of fear in her eyes. Great performance by Ruth Negga, by the way, but all the performances are good in the show. So far, anyway. So she really does an awesome job of taking him out, and I believe she kills him, actually, by the way she's pounding his face, and just by the way they act and react when Cassidy comes in the room and all that. So, that was really good. Good fun time there, and so we'll probably get some more insight into Tulip's backstory through that. Whereas I feel like this season we're going to learn about what happened to Jesse after his dad was killed, which I kind of know, but I don't know if they're going to stick to that story, so I'm not going to talk about that too much here. I think that's what we're going to learn about Jesse. I believe Tulip, we're going to learn what happened to her in the time that her and Jesse were apart, after, I guess, the whole Carlos debacle, when Jesse left the life of crime to become a preacher, right? And I'm sure we'll learn more about Cassidy's backstory in, an episode here or there as well. As far as Jesse, he doesn't really have much to do this episode. He's going to marry Tulip, but that falls apart, and I think it all falls apart because Tulip got scared from the visit from her old acquaintance there. So maybe she feels if she marries Jesse, this guy's going to come and try and kill Jesse or something. Or maybe she's, already married to this other guy. And, and now it's making her think, well, I really shouldn't do this to Jesse and get married to him while married to somebody else, because then it won't be legal or whatever. I don't really know. But I'm sure they'll go around somewhere along those lines. But Jesse and Tulip find out that Anvil was completely destroyed, and this devastates Tulip, but Jesse doesn't seem to care too much. And that's pretty crazy, because that was his congregation. These are people he was close with. These were people he knew intimate secrets about. You would think Jesse would be a little bit more broken up about the fact that they're all dead now. I really wish I did an episode about the finale of season 1, because so much good stuff happened. But whatever, I didn't. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, in another episode, or maybe I'll do one, in retrospect down the road. So we didn't get tons from this episode in terms of story. Like I said, we got between this episode and last episode, we got some more allusions to Jesse's past, and go back to episode 1 and pay attention to the fish tank behind Jesse with the opening and closing treasure chest, and why that's making Jesse stare off into space while he's talking about his past. That will all make sense to you. Probably this season. I'm pretty sure about that. So remember that scene. How awesome was that whole shootout in episode 1 on the highway and the car chase scene? The car chase scene reminded me of the 70s. The shootout scene reminded me of like the 80s, 90s. The banter between the three characters so reminded me of like so many 80s, 90s movies. I just love the nostalgia fact, and I think that comes from the fact that this show was developed and brought to TV by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who are like 80s, 90s kids like me, and like so many of you out there, and that's why we get such a nostalgic sense, I feel, from this show. Just look at the poster itself from season 2. I think I used it for my thumbnail for episode 1, or maybe for episode 2. I don't know. One of these episodes of videos I do have the poster for the thumbnail. Check that out, because that it's such an 80s style poster. I love it so much. But this show is so much fun. And look, a lot of shows that are fun like this, they're not the best written or the best performed, or the plot may not move along at a good pace. But it looks like season 2 is shaping up to be 10 times better than season 1. Season 1 had great acting and great writing and decent character development, pretty good exposition, and amazing action. But it just didn't feel complete. But this season, if it keeps up with this trend that we got in episode 1 and 2, this is going to be a season that might be perfect or near perfect in terms of having everything. Nostalgia, comedy, action, drama, good story, good writing, good acting, everything. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm really looking forward to reviewing it. I hope you guys like these videos. Sound off down below. Let me know what you think about my videos, my style of video, whatever it is. Anything I can do to improve. I do listen to that stuff, and I do take those criticisms seriously. Definitely leave a comment about this episode, about this season of Preacher, about last season of Preacher, anything Preacher related, even if you want to talk about the comics. I just don't want to spoil things for people too much when it comes to the comic books. Maybe only explaining certain elements or certain characters. And look out on the channel for more Preacher stuff to come. Not just reviews and predictions, but also, character spotlight type of deals, going in depth into certain storylines, characters, situations, etc. Yep, that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.